Hey, Aries.
Hey baby, how you doing?
I'm good. How's life treating you?
Uh, it's a back and forth.
A back and forth, but you're making it. You're here with me. It's going to be a good weekend.
Yeah, this is the good part of the relationship.
Yes, Kansas City barbecue and talking to me. So you're coming to Kansas City, the Improv this weekend. You'll be here Friday and Saturday, two shows each night. So get your tickets improvkc.com. So Aries, what's new with you? I know, I'm a Forever Proud Family fan. So I know that you guys came back on Disney Plus with the Proud Family. Um,
Yeah, Kelly, y'all.
Wizard Kelly, y'all. So what else is new in your world?
Uh, I'm waiting on these. I did a thing for CNN, which I think is going to drop in August. Every now and then CNN will do these kind of like breakdowns of like shows from the '80s. Uh, these little things about entertainment, cinema. So I'm one of many celebrity guests who are talking about Black television in the '80s and '90s.
Okay, so for you, what show in the 80s, Black shows, made the most impact in your life?
Oh, you know, Jefferson's, of course. Even though it wasn't really a Black show, I have to say All in the Family because they would often have, either Esther Roll on there or Sherman Hemsley himself with that relationship back when TV used to spawn off of each other.
Mhm.
So the 80s was just a more impactful, honest time before all the political correctness and wokeness. I think it was between the 80s and the 90s was probably the last great era of truth television until the emergence of shows like, The Wire and, certain shows on HBO.
Mhm. So for the 80s, those shows are obviously iconic. Are there any shows now that are on your radar that you're impressed that they're not following the mold of being politically correct, or are they all being politically correct nowadays?
No, I think the shows that I mainly like, I like one camera, kind of like on location action shows. Like I'm a big fan of Mayor of Kingstown. A lot of the shows that have come on HBO, like The Sopranos, Power on Stars. Uh, God, I'm drawing a blank. Breaking Bad. I like gritty 1 hour camera shows.
I see. And violent shows too, or at least shows with crime and violence. That's your type of.
I call that man food. That's
Yeah.
man food.
My dad only watches shows with murders. And I'm like, are you plotting to murder me and mommy one day? But that's your type of thing. Nothing wrong with that. So you said that a lot of shows nowadays have a lot of politically correctness, and we all know that. So for you, with just being in the entertainment industry and things that don't have to follow that mold, do you think that more people, do you think like with non-network shows like Netflix and the streaming services, do you feel like people are more comfortable to create things that are not as politically correct? Do you feel like that gives, I guess, creatives more range to do what they want to do, or do you think it's still the same guidelines?
I think it's a small amount of still the same guidelines, but at the same time, I think that it does open the door, creative wise, the license to just be more out there. One of my other favorite shows is Ozark with Justin Bateman. And whether it's shows like Ozark, and I'm still crazy because I have a list of what I really like, but I'm drawing a blank. But shows like that just really allow you creatively to go in different places. But there's always going to be still technical TV guidelines that I think sometimes you have to follow. But the best stuff is when you throw the rules out the window.
Okay. Now, throwing the rules out the window, you have your own podcast. Do you feel Spears and Steinberg, got to plug that, make sure you
Yeah.
guys subscribe. Do you feel like in the podcast realm that you're more free to say what you want to say, or do you feel like there's still that backlash?
No, there's always the threat of backlash, but I've never been one to let that threaten me. Because listen, I've already taken my knocks based on who people think I am or what they think I am. So at this point, I'm playing with nothing to lose, really. And you know, I always tell people I was born in '75, grew up in the '80s. I'm '80s baby, so I come from that last generation of truth tellers, old school. You know, I can't do this Similac milk. I drink from the tap.
Tap water unfiltered, right?
Tap milk unfiltered. Come
Tap
here, woman.
milk unfiltered. You ain't lactose intolerant.
There you go.
All right, so we got the podcast Spears and Spears Stein. It's Spears Steinberg Pod. If you want to follow it on all the social media handles, correct?
It's Spearsburg Pod.
Spearsburg Pod. Okay, I just didn't read writing correct. I guess.
YouTube, on Instagram, Twitter. It's Spearsburg Pod, but the name is Spears and Steinberg.
Spears and Steinberg. Now, I was doing a little bit of Googling. Am I correct that you have your own app?
I'm working on it. It's been a long thing in the works. It's a movie trivia game app that I'm trying
to do something.
Aries Spears Movie Madness is what it's called.
Okay, so I'm assuming you're a really big movie person. What's your favorite movie of all time?
That's hard. You know what? You can't ever have a favorite movie of all time. You know, anything Denzel I rock with. But any of the icons, Al Pacino, De Niro, Nicholson, you know, I'm a movie connoisseur.
Okay, so you've been in a few movies. Who would be the ultimate person for you to be in a movie with?
Denzel.
Okay, I know you can...
comedically, it would be Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
But dramatically, it would be Denzel.
Okay. Now,
yeah, because to me, Denzel does the drama what Eddie does the comedy.
Okay, so I know that a lot of your roles that you've been in are more comedic films. Are you wanting to go the route of like the serious crime, the type of TV shows that you're into? Would you want to do that type of role, or would you want to stick to what you're comfortable with?
No, I think you have to do both. I think you have to do what you're comfortable with, but you also have to test yourself by being uncomfortable. You know, if I was to use a football analogy, I would say the best quarterback, you know, you want to be Michael Vick. You want to be able to play in the pocket, but you want to be able to scramble and run if you have to, too. You know, really unstoppable.
Right. So we might see an Oscar or like an Emmy knocking on your door.
From your lips to God's ears.
We're speaking into existence.
I've been on hold since forever. So if you get through God before I do, tell them click over. I'm on the other line.
And you know what? If they do a biopic and they want you to play somebody, you already got the voice down, right? Because you can do the impressions.
Yeah, I guess it depends on who it is.
Okay. Now, with your impressions, who was somebody that you were surprised that they saw an impression that you've done, and did they like it?
I don't know if anybody was surprised. I mean, you know, like the saying goes, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. Everybody has been pretty much flattered. So the surprise probably is more for me than it is for them, especially when I end up doing somebody that I didn't do, that, you know, I ended up doing it, which was a surprise to me. Okay,
so you want to say a name?
Again, one of my favorite shows, probably my favorite show of all time, is Sopranos.
Okay.
James Gandolfini as Tony Soprano. Everybody's gonna go down to the bada bing. All the guys are gonna be there. Silvio, Christopher, you know, Uncle June and Johnny Shack. It's the place to be for business. It's where we conduct business.
Yeah. That is so good. Yeah. Okay, now so you have the basic impersonations that you, or the impressions that you do of certain people. Are there any new ones that you've been working on?
Yeah, I mean, they're not ready yet, but they're definitely in the crock pot.
I was gonna ask you if we could get a preview, but they're still marinating in the crock pot, so we gotta
I'm cooking the bird up slow.
Okay, we gotta let them get all the juices fully motivated. Very cool. So this Friday and Saturday, it's going down at the Improv, improvkc.com to get your tickets. Now, social media, go ahead and drop your handle so they can follow you.
Everything is just my name, Aries Spears. Patreon, Instagram, you know, YouTube. And again, the podcast is called Spears and Steinberg, available on all streaming platforms. Go to Spearsberg Pod, SPEARSBERGPOD, to check that out. And to any new listeners, I would strongly suggest, I know that we're probably going on 400 episodes, but start from the beginning and listen in order. It's like a great book. And if you don't listen in order, you're going to miss a lot of comedic callbacks and jokes that you won't understand. But you'll catch up quick. My cocaine is strong. You're going to binge. I'm uncut 100% yayo.
And we'll get addicted real quick.
Yes.
Anything else that you're working on? I know the podcast, the app, any new things that we need to look out from you?
That I know of, this is it right now. So, you know, I'm on God's good humor.
Amen to that. And we're working on the Emmy and the Oscar. Remember we talked about that?
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Yes. Well, Aries, I appreciate you. Thank you, as usual, for coming through in the Zoom room. I'll see you this weekend, Friday and Saturday, improvkc.com to get your tickets.
Well, I can smell you through the phone. You delicious.
I smell good. Bath and Body Works, baby.
Oh, Zamunda in the building.
Thank you, Aries. I appreciate you.
All right, baby.
Talk to you later.